Luke chapter 14 and verse 16. Luke chapter 14 and verse 16. We're going to walk through this together. But he said to him, this is Jesus telling the parable, a man once gave a great banquet and invited many. And we have this tradition in our culture, right? When we're going to have a big feast coming up, like a wedding. Sarah, your sister's getting married, right, soon. We send out these invitations and we say, hey, save the date. And a lot of that is, we want you to be there, but also we're spending an awful lot of money on this deal, and so we want you to show up, right, if you said you were going to show up. So mark your calendar, be there, plan on it, save the date. How many of you have sent out an invite like that? Save the date invite? Yeah, a lot of us have. Most of us have. That's exactly what's going on here. There had been this invite that had been sent out by the host, this save the date notification. And then right before the banquet that's going to come, the feast that's going to come, the event reminder, think Facebook, the event reminder comes. Verse 17. And at the time for the banquet, he sent his servant to say to those who had been invited, come, for everything is now ready. So the servant's job was to go and to say, hey, you RSVP'd, you said you were coming. The grill's on, the meat's on, the kegs are tapped. I have to think there might be a good IPA there at this feast. The feast is about ready. You said you were coming, now come. Look at verse 18. But they all alike began to make excuses. Now I know we don't know what that's about as Coloradans, but let's just pretend for a minute this morning, okay? Can we just pretend? Let's look at the excuses. The first one said, I've just bought a field and I must go see it. Please excuse me, I won't be there. So I'm too busy. I have temporal business investments to tend to. I won't be there at this feast. The second said this, verse 19. I've just bought 5 yoke of oxen and I'm on my way to try them out. Please excuse me, I won't be there at the feast. In other words, he's saying, I'm too busy. I need to go try out some of my new horsepower. Right? Verse 20. And another said, I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come. I'm too busy with my family. And the host of the banquet was really snubbed. A lot of these people that said they were going to come didn't come. Any of these first-string guests didn't come. And here's the interesting thing in this parable in Luke 14. Jesus doesn't spend time talking about whether the excuses were valid or not. He just focuses on the fact that they made excuses. Now, before we get too far into the parable, some of you, the gears are turning already. You're starting to think Jesus is telling this for a purpose. Who and what is Jesus talking about here? Pharisees? Yep. He's the main focus is this great feast at the kingdom of Jesus, at God's kingdom. The banquet host in the story was God. So the main focus is the feast, the kingdom of God, and the host in the story was God. And he's communicating that God's kingdom must take precedence over anything else. Verse 21, read with me. The servant came back and reported these things to the master. Then the master of the house became, somebody give me that word? Angry. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a predictable response, right? We might be a little angry too. The host, we know is God, became angry. I mean, after all, he had done all the work. He sent out these invites. These were his peeps, right? A couple thousand years, they'd been his peeps. He sent out the invite, and now they decided they weren't going to come. Verse 21, the owner ordered his servant, he said to his servant, go out quickly to the streets and the lanes of the city and bring in the poor and crippled and blind and lame. Many of the people who thought they had a place reserved at this feast in the kingdom are sadly going to find themselves on the outside looking in. God rejected them because they decided they didn't want to come to the banquet. And he says, go to the far reaches of the city to find guests for this great banquet. Now this is good news. This is good news. This is good news to the hurting, to the broken, to the jacked up, to the trying to figure out how to fix themselves but never can. How many people in a bookstore go in the self-help section? Thousands each day. Trying to fix ourselves, can't. People who need Jesus not as a religious crutch, but as a Savior and a friend and a King. This is good news. Turn to your neighbor and say, that's me. This is good news. Verse 22. The servant said, Sir, what you have commanded has been done, and still there is room. And the master said to the servant, Go out to the highways and the hedges, I love the alliteration there, and compel people to come in, that my house may be filled. Now, you may have the phrase, make them come in. I love the language here. He's not saying that the people need to be dragged against their will, kicking and screaming to the banquet. That doesn't sound like people who want to go there. Here's what he's saying. He's saying the people who he was going to go and invite, the servant was going to go invite, didn't think they belonged at the banquet. They didn't think they could ever receive that kind of an invitation. See, these people were used to, at these lavish banquets, standing on the outside and looking in, looking at all the people enjoying all this lavish food and all this great time together, these great IPAs that I mentioned earlier. They're just used to that, from the outside looking in. And at first invitation, many would say, no, I don't belong there. And the servant's job was to say, you're right. You don't belong there. But you need to understand that the host wants you there. He's reserved a place at the table for you, not because of your status, but because of his. Not because of your goodness, but because of his. Not because of your love, but because of his. This would be a great spot for an amen. I can just hear the servant telling these people as he's inviting them, what a great, great banquet this is going to be. What a great feast this is going to be. You're going to love it. It's going to be incredible. The host has a place at the table for you. I just want to camp for a minute this morning before we go on to remind us that you and I have been invited like this to this feast. You and I have been invited to this feast to partake. And we were not the first string guests. We were the people that the servant went out, ran to the highways and the hedges because we were in lots of other nooks and crannies in life, and came and said, you're invited. That was us. God has set a place at the table for many people in our city and has asked us, just like this servant, to go out and to call out the people around us, come and join us in this kingdom. There are many people in our city who want to give an excuse, like Jesus describes here. It maybe looks a little different. Maybe it's not horsepower. Maybe it's Solomon and K2 or a number of skiing days you got to get in a year. Sorry, I can't be a part of that. Don't be discouraged by the people who have excuses for not coming to the feast. Don't be discouraged. There are people all around you, I am confident in, that they have place cards at the table at this feast. All around you, there are people. There are tons of people who don't even really know that they're invited or how they can be invited, that they have a place at the table. They don't understand. They're longing for the company of the host. They're longing for the forever food. They're hungry for it, for the forever food that the host will serve. They're thirsty to drink from the fountain of living water, Jesus Christ. I want you to picture with me for a minute a restaurant around rush hour. Think of a Maggiano's or a View House type of place, okay? We love Maggiano's. It's rush hour, the lobby is full of people, and all of these people have in their hands the dreaded buzzer, pager, right? They're holding it in their hands. They are hungry and they are tired. It's been a long week and they're waiting to be seated. They've been able even to sniff a little bit of the aroma of the food that's coming out to them in the lobby. Some of them have been holding this restaurant pager for a long time and they're getting tired now. And as I prepared for this morning, I kept sensing God press this picture on my head and on my heart in connection with his feast, the feast of the kingdom. I believe God is inviting us, saying to us this morning, I'm going to make the pager buzz in the hands of lots of people around you. And when I do, I want you to go call them out of the crowd. I want you to go invite them to sit down. And I want you to invite them to feast. I've often thought as I've waited for a table, this has got to be one of the most joyful jobs around. I've had a lot of jobs in customer service and sales where I've gotten yelled at a lot. Jill knows, yes. This seems like a fun job, to be able to take and call out from a crowd of hungry people someone who is starving and invite them, call them out of the crowd, invite them to have a seat and invite them to feast. Doesn't that sound like a good job? You get a lot of smiles when that's your job. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is what God has asked us to do as a church here in our city. Not because of anything we've did, but because of what he is doing. He's already got the place cards prepared at the table. He's the one that's going to take care of the buzzer in people's hands. He's just saying, would you be my servants? Would you be the servant just like in Luke 14? To go out to these places where I've called you and to just invite people to come in. I want to invite Chad and Leanne and Sandra to come up. I'm going to move over here. I announced last week that we're going to be commissioning a deacon of outreach, a deaconess of hospitality, and a deaconess of assimilation. And I'm really excited to officially introduce them to you this morning in these roles. We have spent as elders a good amount of time with these people because their area of ministry leadership is really vital for the future of our church. It's really, really important. So we spent a lot of time with them, a lot of good time. They've each signed on to our vision as a church, which is good. I think they have. Yeah. We're confident that each qualify biblically to be deacons and deaconesses in our church. Our deacon of outreach, Chad, is going to be the person who's going to help lead us in calling people out of the crowd, like I just talked about. Our deaconess of hospitality, Leanne, is going to be the person who's going to help lead us in inviting them to sit down. Is this booth okay? How are you doing? How are things? Does this feel good? Our deaconess of assimilation Sandra is going to be the person who helps lead us in inviting them to feast and eat and get connected and grow. Now, before they share, I just want to encourage you with this. God is not calling these leaders to do the work for us. Like, hey, great, I'm glad Chad is the new deacon of outreach. Go do it, Chad. All right. He's not. He's not. They're each uniquely gifted to take leadership and ownership of these areas of ministry and to help lead us as we do outreach, hospitality, and assimilation. So I just want to underscore that we've used the language as we've talked, waving the flag. They're each very passionate about their areas of leadership they're going to take. And so they're going to be waving the flag often in front of you and with you one-on-one as they talk, excited about their area of ministry. And they're going to be empowered so that they can empower you. Now, I want to ask a few questions this morning so you can hear their hearts. So, Chad, how long have you been connected here, and how do you feel about our church, Chad?
Hello.
We get that going, Sky.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So my wife and I have been connected at the Crossings for almost a year now. We were going to an Acts 29 church, kind of in the Five Points, Denver area. But then when I got the Rangeview High School job, that meant kind of us moving a little bit further south in Aurora. And we could have kept going to our Acts 29 church, but we really wanted to be invested in Aurora. We just felt a strong heart for Aurora with both of us working and living life in Aurora. So we're like, no, we want to be in the community. That's more important than a 30-minute commute to downtown. So we looked around, found this church, and right away, I think what made us love this church the most was just the community it has within it. We knew right away, just meeting Jake and Julianne and then the people here, that these people are going to have our back, and that they're going to push us. And I even remember we were looking at another church in Aurora, and Sarah and I, once after doing a Bible study at that church, we're just like, why are we still looking at both of these churches? This is clear that if we want to be pushed by God, if we want to use our talents, this is the place. That other place, yeah, we could maybe sit back a little bit, take the easy road out, but this is where we're gonna truly go for it. And I think that's one of the greatest assets of this church, is just that inward community. And what I hope to bring is also that outward community where we can use our strength and our tight fit community and truly bring it to all of Aurora.
That's good, bro. And that kind of segues a little bit to this next question I'm going to ask you. Yeah. And then we're going to dump the Gatorade after that. So, so describe a little bit, Chad, of your heart, your passion for this role as a deacon that's outwardly focused of outreach.
Yeah. Being honest, my instinct in my heart at the beginning when I was asked this was, holy crap, this is terrifying. And I think it goes into the sermon today and just all the rest, especially when he was talking about broken arrows, or the arrows going into you. My biggest arrow my whole life with my faith has been, I'm not good enough to be a leader in the church. I grew up Catholic, and I've always used that as a crutch now. Not going to a Catholic church where I'm I don't know as much scripture, I'm new to this Protestant thing. And it just has always terrified me. And even at my last church, I was asked to be pretty much like a life group leader. And instantly, it was just arrows, excuses, excuses, excuses. I'm not good enough, I can't do this. And I think just how God led us to Aurora, and then specifically the Crossing, and then specifically getting asked to do this, it's become clear to me, I had to break that arrow. This is a passion of mine. It's something I'm good at. I can do this. And I think, just talking to all you guys, you all have strengths and passions and gifts. And while outreach may be terrifying, hospitality, inclusion, setup, all that, you don't have to be an extrovert to be helping me out. Okay? There are things that all of you can help with: event planning, design, just even praying. And I think that's my biggest heart right now, is trying to help any of you guys, and even you helping me, just all of us leaning on each other, using our strengths, me being able to coach life groups on, hey, how do we invite people without them being intimidated? How can we get people to know that this is a loving and welcoming community and not an intimidating community where Dalton's gonna be right there being what are the 10 Commandments? Oh, you can come in. Okay? Just making it truly a home, like how the church did for Sarah and I. And my other huge heart is just truly making it a church for the city of Aurora. Yeah. I love the connection we have with the Independence community here. Yeah. But I want us to reach all of Aurora and go to North Aurora, South Aurora, just hit this city hard. And especially there's so much possibilities. We all have connections everywhere. I know my huge heart is for the Rangeview community, just talking to my students, hitting that area. There's so many apartment complexes, condos, so many opportunities in this city where we can leverage that tight connection we have with this neighborhood, but truly build it to the city of Aurora.
Yeah. Now, Chad, you're from Minnesota. I moved out here a couple years ago. Are there a lot of people you run into who need Jesus here in Denver? I mean, it's somewhat of a softball question, but honestly, yeah.
Yeah, I work in a school of 2,400 kids, 150 staff, and it's pretty rare to find anyone. And just being the Fellowship of Christian Athletes person, it's not like we have
Yeah.
5 trillion people in it. It's tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that need God out there in that relationship with Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Chad. Would you give Chad a hand for stepping into this role? We're going to hear more specifics from them as we strategize and plan in the weeks ahead. So Chad will be sharing some more with us, especially about some exciting things coming up this summer, too. So, yeah. Leanne.
I just want to say ditto.
Ditto. Well played. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
So I've been here at the Crossing for 4 years. Easter was our 4th year. We came to the Crossing when we were in a small office building, and Corey and I were just like, what's happening in this little room? And, but we knew right away there was something different about the Crossing, and there was something that we wanted to get plugged into. And it has challenged us and grown us in ways that we didn't even know we needed to grow. Yeah. That's what I'd say about the Crossing. Like, we've just been so blessed by what we've learned and the people we've come to love and how they've loved on us when we've needed it and how we've been able to reach back out to those people. So, yeah.
That's really cool.
It's been amazing, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know how you found us. We didn't have very good signs. We were back in the second floor of an office building.
We got a telemarketing call, Jay.
That's
how we found the Crossing.
We did some of those creative things. I remember still talking with you on the phone. That was cool.
Yeah.
So describe, Leanne, if you would describe kind of your heart, your passion for this role.
So the first thing I want to say is my passion for this role is you guys. Like, just loving on you, encouraging you, helping you to grow spiritually. Just watching over you guys and seeing the needs that we have within our body, like, that's what gets me passionate. If I can help in any way to connect anyone to something that they're passionate about, like, that would be amazing to me. I wrote stuff down because I always get nervous when I'm here. So I just want to love and encourage all of you with a servant's heart. I hope that I can help you get plugged into something that excites you and helps you to grow. And I'm excited to see these relationships grow deeper so that we can reach out and serve the community well. So that's what, and then also to make sure our members are doing well. And if there's a need among us, that we're aware of those needs and that we're meeting them as best we can. Such as meal trains, like when we've done that when someone's sick or they've just had a baby, like those are the things that I want to make sure that we're doing well and not overlooking anyone. So as well as, the hospitality, like when you first walk in and how you feel when you're here and taking some of the confusion out of, like, where do I go and what am I supposed to do when I first walk in those doors and where do my kids go and how do I get that all figured out. And so just making it clear, like TJ says, taking some of the duct tape out of the process, just making it smoother so that we're all comfortable and it's not intimidating to walk in those doors first thing in the morning. That can be intimidating, your first day in a new place, and this is a different situation than most have experienced, and so I just want to make it smooth so that they don't feel overwhelmed and doesn't make them not want to come back. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Leanne is going to be, she shared, kind of overseeing those touches that people get from greeting outside as they come in and how things look. And certainly you don't want the elders managing how things look because that just ends up really bad too. She's going to oversee a lot of that, the look and feel and wanting to make this as welcoming as possible on Sundays, but then also to come alongside and coach and encourage life groups. And how can you be more hospitable? I think that's an area we need to grow in. How can you invite people over into your home and make it feel like an awesome environment where they feel safe and encouraged? And
right.
Yeah. That's great. You want to give Leanne a hand? So calling them out of the crowd, inviting them to sit, and inviting them to eat. Sandra, our deaconess of assimilation. How long have you guys been connected here now, Sandra? And what's your heart for?
4 years.
4 years,
at Christmas time. Yeah,
okay.
That's when we started coming.
Has it been 4 years?
It'll be 4 years.
Wow.
I know.
Could you share a little bit, kind of like these guys did, about just your heart for our church? And
I think just the best way I can describe the Crossing is like Dalton and I just have been super blessed, and since we were out of the church for a little while before we started coming, and just immediately realizing that this is different. I've never seen church really done this way before. Not just because it's in a school, but just like people actually caring about you, reaching out to you, wanting to spend time with you, wanting to get to know you.
Yeah.
And kind of what's brought my passion into this is that actually bringing out like what your kind of purpose is, like what your kingdom purpose is. I never really thought about or knew that in myself until I came here.
Yeah.
So really blessed by the Crossing.
Awesome. So with this role of assimilation, which you've I love it how all three of these dear brothers and sisters have already been doing these things that we're going to ask them to do, like they just naturally do them, and so it's like kind of a natural fit. As you think about this role, what's your heart and your passion for this role now, Sandra?
I think my heart and passion is to make sure that everybody can maybe feel the way I felt when I came here. All of our roles overlap each other in some form and fashion, and so being able to like have both of them on my side to really make the visitors thrive and become connected into a life group in the community in the church is really a passion of mine. When we first started coming, it's like Jake's like, hey, you want to do this, and hey, I need you to talk about this, or Larry's like, get in a life group, come see us, and those are things that sometimes people need to be pushed and asked to do those things because of whatever circumstances they are. So being able to encourage and push people to be in community and to, when I've always said, like, if we could just get them here, like, we got it, like, we are an amazing church of people that love people and really care about people, and that's what I want people to see, and I want people to be able to use their talents that God's given them, just like you guys have brought that out of me. I want to bring that out of people so that they can feel like they're part of the family and they're part of the mission here. So.
That's awesome. Can you give Sandra a hand? Like I mentioned before, there's been a lot of great strategy that's come out as they've brainstormed with the elders, and I'm just excited that it is no longer just the elders kind of leading a lot of this stuff. TJ can't nod hard enough. We have 3 more deacons, deaconesses over the next couple of weeks we're going to commission. But they're going to continue to kind of be the voice and waving the flag for these various areas. So connect with them. They're all going to be building teams of people. And our hope is, as we grow as a church, that we might not have one person that's involved in like 7 different areas of ministry, which some of you are, which is awesome. God bless you. We're so thankful for you. But that we might actually be able to focus more on a couple areas of ministry. And so these guys will be building teams, and there'll be some exciting things coming up in the near future. But we talked about Gatorade, just to dump on them, but I think it'd probably be better to pray biblically. I think it'd be better. So, Isaac, would you come up too? Isaac is going to be connected with the elders and helping to lead this group as well. And so I just want us to pray as a body. If you would extend your hands out, we're going to commission these guys and pray over them. TJ, would you start?
Absolutely. Father, I just thank you for sending these people to us to where we can lead and grow your church. I just thank you for the hearts that you've put in each and every one of these people, and I just pray for protection for them as they go through, and I pray for encouragement, just that they're able to use the gifts that you've given them, and just truly being able to just succeed in the area that you've given them. You're going to be, as Jake said earlier, buzzing the pagers. All we're doing is bringing them in. So I just thank you for that. I also pray for the body, the church, that you light our fires too, to where we know what group we want to be a part of, how we want to go, how we want to be a part of this as we're going through. And I just pray that each and every one of these people know that they're not here alone. They're here, a part of the family, part of the structure, that we're not here trying to do it ourselves. We're all going to help together.
God, I'm so excited about these next steps that we're taking, and I'm just filled with joy as I think about this isn't 3 new teams. It's not a new team. It's your team, all of it. We're all a part of your team, and this is another way of coaching and structuring and getting more passion and excitement and just gas in the engine, Lord, of driving this and reaching this community that you've put us here. You've put us here to be a light to the world, to be your light, and I'm so excited about this opportunity to do that. So, Lord, I pray that you would just remove any boundaries and any barriers that are there. If it is any resistance from the enemy, God, I pray that you would bind those, that they would be powerless. If there's any discouragement or pain lurking in the shadows, Lord, that we would surrender that to you, that we would confess that to you, and that your light would just shine to that darkness and give us healing, and that you would just fill us with your Spirit, that we would be to the boiling point of excitement, and I can't contain this in. I have to tell people about Jesus. I have to go to people, encourage them, and say, come be part of our family.
You are listening to a sermon from the Crossing Church. The Crossing exists as a family of servant missionaries to be a bridge of God's grace to our city. For more resources, go to www.thecrossingaurora.org.